This is the G Podcast with your host, Tommy B.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 191 of This is the G Podcast. Yes. Yeah. Labor Day 2023. Summer is unofficially over, but the heat is not. Trust me. Trust. Each week we do news, politics, pop culture, and that piping hot tea from the one and only Tonya B. And can you believe it? Only 9 episodes away from the 200th episode. But this is the G Podcast. Yes, so 9 episodes away. In this week's episode, man, Governor Kemp says, I ain't having the foolishness in my state. And Rudy Giuliani's money is running away like his hair dye. Man, he's losing another trial, this time in the defamation case. Shy Talk Season 6, Episode 5, one of them nights. Some life-altering decisions are happening. Yes, I'll talk about it. Tonya B is back with the tea. Yes, and Talib and I are making up the Newsmaker crew this week. And we need y'all to do us a favor. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you go to your favorite podcast app, however you listen to us, and subscribe. Or you could go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. Also allow notifications because we're going to have more bonus episodes coming up and we want to keep you in the loop. So I don't always send out episodes during the week or text you like I normally do or email you. If you want to get those bonuses during the week, make sure you turn on your notifications. But first and foremost, either subscribe to the audio or subscribe to the YouTube. Okay. Appreciate y'all. We definitely thank you so much for joining us each and every week. Thank you for coming back. Let's go ahead and get started with news from Syracuse. Mike, what you got this week?
News team, assemble!
It's time for the Week in News with Syracuse Mike.
We've learned more about the 21-year-old Jacksonville shooter.
The shooter outfitted himself with a tactical vest, which he covered with a short-sleeved button-up shirt. He created a facial covering and donned gloves for his attack.
That's Jacksonville Sheriff KeKe Waters. The racially motivated shooting on Saturday left 3 people dead. Police also believe the shooter took his own life. Before driving to a Dollar General store where the shooting took place, the shooter drove to Edward Waters University, the first historically black college in Florida. The 2 firearms used in the shooting were purchased earlier this year. Sunday, President Biden said hate must have no safe harbor in the U.S. Former President Donald Trump has raised over $7 million since his arrest in Georgia on Thursday. That's as of Sunday morning. Of course, he is using his mugshot as a fundraising tool. Trump's joint fundraising committee brought in $53.8 million from the start of the year to the end of June, spending $52 million, most of that going to legal fees. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was booed and heckled on Sunday while he and his wife attended a prayer vigil in Jacksonville for the 3 victims killed in what law enforcement officials say was a racially motivated attack at a local Dollar General store. Many in the crowd were black and know, as governor, that DeSantis has loosened the state's gun laws and pushed back on efforts to teach black history in public schools. The Department of Justice is investigating the shooting by a white man as a hate crime and as an act of racially motivated violent extremism. A 34-year-old UNC Chapel Hill graduate student has been charged with first-degree murder in Monday's on-campus shooting of an associate professor. The shooter, a Chinese citizen, was charged with first-degree murder and possession of a gun on educational property. He appeared in court Tuesday afternoon and was denied bond. The Biden administration released its list of the first 10 drugs that Medicare will target for price cuts, as the government will negotiate the prices with drug makers. The list includes blood thinners, diabetes drugs, and drugs used to treat autoimmune diseases like arthritis, plus more. A federal judge has ruled that Rudy Giuliani is legally liable for defaming 2 Georgia election workers. We're talking about Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, who became the subject of conspiracy theories connected to the 2020 election. The judge ordered Giuliani to pay Freeman and Moss punitive damages. Harrison Floyd has finally been released from jail. He was released Wednesday. Floyd is one of the 19 people indicted along with former President Trump for efforts to overturn the Georgia presidential election. And he's the only person who got locked up. There were reports of a bond issue and some sort of scene caused by Floyd in the lobby of the jail when he turned himself in. Floyd served as director of Black Voices for Trump and is accused of recruiting a co-defendant to arrange a meeting with election worker Ruby Freeman. It happened again. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell appeared to freeze for about 30 seconds Wednesday while speaking with reporters in Covington, Kentucky. You'll recall the same thing happened last month at the U.S. Capitol. A spokesperson for his office said McConnell, who is 81, felt momentarily lightheaded and paused during his press conference. This latest incident will likely raise more questions about his health and fitness to continue in his current role. A somewhat agitated Governor Brian Kemp has rejected a request for a special session of the General Assembly to investigate Fulton DA Fonnie Willis.
There have been calls by one individual in the General Assembly and echoed outside of these walls by the former president for a special session that would ignore current Georgia law and directly interfere with the proceedings of a separate but equal branch of government.
State Senator Colton Moore has been the main person seeking a special legislative session to impeach Willis after a grand jury indicted former President Donald Trump and others.
The bottom line is that in the state of Georgia, as long as I'm governor, we're going to follow the law and the Constitution.
The governor says the effort is just political theater, and he does believe that the timing of the indictment sows distrust during election season. Former President Trump has pleaded not guilty to the charges in Fulton County and is waiving his arraignment appearance in court. Trump's team is asking for his case to be severed from his co-defendants. Also Thursday, a judge says all of the proceedings will be televised on the Fulton County Court's YouTube channel. President Biden is pleased with new jobs numbers for last month.
We created more jobs in 2 years than any president ever created in a single four-year term.
Despite inflation and high interest rates, employers added 187,000 jobs in August.
Thanks, Mike, for the headlines. Man, the Newsmaker crew is here. At least one of the crew is here for episode 191. And that's a good thing because we just talked to the other one. He's rolling the road. He's coming from Shawshank. They say, I call Fulton County Shawshank. Fulton County is no longer Fulton County Jail. It is Shawshank because they had another stabbing, another murder, man.
Right after Trump left.
Yeah. So wow. Okay. So Talib Shabazz is here. Let's go on to something positive. Yes. What's up, Talib Shabazz? How you doing, man?
Man, I'm great, bro. It's good to be back.
Hey, glad to have you back. Because the country commentator is rolling. Was he on 285? We don't know. But he said something about the Fulton County. I don't know. But the alternate to the Golden Bachelor is somewhere out in ATL doing his thing. Y'all got to know about the Golden Bachelor. I'm not even on ABC. I can't even talk about that shit. But thanks for at least checking in. And I want to acknowledge a few stories before we get rolling, man. Before we get, and I get the commentary on the one thing I want to talk about, really. Okay. Mitch McConnell is buffering again, and I call it buffering.
Buffering.
Yeah, can we vote for term limits? Please, y'all, let's vote for term limits, man. Did you know that we have the oldest Senate in 100 years? It's the oldest Senate at this point. Yeah. And I mean, even in Georgia, we've got one of the congressmen rarely shows up to vote. He's always voting in proxy. His staff's doing all the work. It's really time for us to look closer, man, at some of these term limits and on a lot of, we got to get more millennials in place and key positions, man. It's time.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is the second time this has happened with McConnell. And we said it. I've heard the same thing when Strom Thurmond was in office and he was, having to come in a wheelchair. Dianne Feinstein is the same thing. Look, man, there has to come some point where you're like, okay, I've done all I can do. I've given my service, and it's time for me to go. Bow out gracefully. Right now, they're just too old.
Yeah,
period.
I completely agree. Not being an ageist, it's just, man, you get to a point where you've done the most service you can possibly do. And when your body starts to fail you and your mind starts to fail you, pass the baton. Yes. It's that easy. But I know, but honestly, and I'll just say this, man, it just points to these guys having so much money tied up, in this, it's about the money.
Yes,
it's about the control of that money. If it wasn't about the money, they'd have left this. I mean, you ask people, why do you still do this? It's about the money.
I mean, what else? What other reason could it be? Where you are 80 years old or 85 or however old McConnell is, and you're still trying to show up to work every day.
Yeah, it's about the money. It's about the money. Yeah. The other thing, and I got to do this in honor of the late Bob Barker, rest in power, rest in peace, Bob Barker. I got to do that for Rudy Giuliani, man. Rudy loses the defamation suit against the 2 election workers, and I got to, yes.
Thank God.
Yes. The judge in the case basically has given the go-ahead for a civil case where a jury will determine the amount of damages that he's got to pay Miss Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss. And keep in mind, Rudy ain't got no money, man. Rudy's got no money. So it's going to be interesting. And this could be one of those things, depending on the amount of money, that could really do him in. So we'll see how that goes. The other thing, and I never thought that I would give this to Brian Kemp. Never. But Brian Kemp has declared that Cheeto Jesus is not his savior. He prefers the Prince of Peace over the Prince of Grab him by the Piece. So he is staying his course. He's solidly rejecting the state GOP as they call to impeach Fonnie Willis. He's gone on, done a press conference. He stepped out there and I'll read his quote. He says, up to this point, I have not seen any evidence that DA Willis's actions or lack thereof warrant action by the prosecuting attorney oversight commission, which they created in the last election that kicks off in October.
Right.
As long as I'm governor, says Kemp, we are going to follow the law and the Constitution, regardless of who it helps politically, end quote. And I never thought that I would be giving that to Brian Kemp. Wow.
It's funny. That was my takeaway for the week. So
wait, come back. But I never thought that I would be giving this to Mr. Deliverance, Brian Kemp, banjo and all.
But but you know what that's all about. The fact that he and Trump don't necessarily see eye to eye. There was a lot of friction going on between him and Trump before the, after the election and everything. And, when Trump when Kemp wouldn't stand up for Trump. So, I mean, this is just dessert. That's what it is. You're getting just desserts.
I agree with you 100%. And I'm just amazed. I mean, but you know what? Got to do that with him. knock on it.
Knock on wood, baby. Knock on wood.
Hey, and I want to play a clip, Talib, man. Donald Trump Jr. was on Newsmax, and they were asking him about the black people who were chanting outside Shawshank. Trump's name as he rolled up to the Fulton County Jail, again, aka Shawshank Redemption, where another inmate again died, basically. And I'm just going to keep beating that, kicking that into the ground. But basically, I'm going to play the clip for you, man, and give me your thoughts, man, when we come back. Here we go.
Yeah, well, listen, you saw the crowds screaming for the motorcade. I mean, they were for Trump in Fulton County, which let's just say wasn't prior, but they get it. It was interesting, Eric. I spoke on Friday night, at the Reawaken tour out in Las Vegas. There were 5,000 people under a tent. And the people that actually struck me the most were not people in attendance. It was the security guards at the event, a group of them, and on 3 separate occasions. African-American men came up to me. They go, hey, man, we're never voting for that other guy. We get all of this stuff. It was like they were going out of their way to let me know that they understood exactly what was going on. And I was like, man, and I get it. Republicans have talked about this forever. Maybe one day, people will realize that, the Democrats have literally done nothing to help the African-American community. If anything, they've done incredible and perhaps in many cases irreparable damage to to that community. These guys got it, man. They went. I was just like, wow. And I see stuff and you hear about it all the time, and I'm not usually swayed by. This one was palpable. It was different. It was different. And I think as they see it further play out, that could be a game-changing demographic. I'm sure that will be a demographic that will be attempted to be weaponized. I just think, especially again with the men, they're going to see through it because they've been dealing with this for a long time.
What are your thoughts, Talib?
He's got to be kidding. Look, because I was
delusional.
I mean, first of all, was he really out there talking to African Americans who were standing along Bankhead Highway trying to catch a glimpse of the motorcade going by? I highly doubt it. I'm not saying he wasn't. I didn't see him, but I really wasn't looking either. I think that, look, the Trump playbook clearly states that anything that comes our way, we have to try and put a positive spin on it, or at least use it to our advantage. Hence the mugshot. I think the last figure I heard was he's made $7 million off of the mugshot so far. So, but it's just preposterous. Like, look, man, you're lying. You're lying. And if you're not lying, then it brings another point. And that is that our people, our melanated peoples are quicker to identify with a quote unquote illegal lifestyle. You know what I mean? Because if you're really out there, to support Trump, then you obviously you're either brainwashed or you like the criminal element that Trump brings because he's able to navigate through it and still do what he wants to do. Now, I'm going to say this. What do I want to say? I want to say that
it's ridiculous.
We all know,
is what I want to say. But go ahead.
But I mean, seriously, we all know some people that are doing crime. We all somebody's selling pot. Somebody's the neighborhood booster who goes and gets stuff from the store. Yep. And these are our people. So people, we are not as we're not as hard on the common criminal as we should be as a community. And to me, that's the only thing that I could think of why somebody would actually tell Trump Jr. that, oh, we get it. We get it. It's other than the fact that, we've been getting shafted by the legal system for so long that if Trump's son thinks that Trump is getting railroaded, then yes, he's going to try and identify with people who are more likely to be railroaded. You know what I mean?
Let me say this because a lot of the rappers in New York embraced Trump and that lifestyle because of, first of all, for the money. Because he was a billionaire. Yeah. But the other thing is, as you and I both know, the hip hop lifestyle has always, like John Gotti, the names have always come from, the gangsters, the mobsters.
Exactly. There's a street element to it.
Yeah. But I will say this, man, I've been clear that the Democrats really do need to fix the leak that's occurring with African-American men. There's a problem, and more of it comes from, I think black men feel abandoned by some of the policies direct because in a lot of cases, more black men are entrepreneurial. You and I talked about this before, and they don't see the social issue need as much as they see the need for helping them with their entrepreneurship. Right. The other thing is, the narrative that black people relate more to Trump because he's a criminal is just racist. That's just a racist blanket to throw on an ethnic group. The other thing, man, the Italians have had to, have had to deal with that for years. Yeah. Based on the stereotype of the mobster, the gangster movies,
Exactly.
And in the black community, we've had people who stood up for justice and been arrested and had to take mugshots. Rosa Parks has a mugshot. John Lewis has a mugshot. King has a mugshot. Yeah. But they're in a whole different universe.
Right.
Not to be compared. That's good trouble. Absolutely. Right. Trump broke the law. He broke the law in the 70s when he denied black people access to his housing in New York. And he's losing now because he broke the law now, and it's going to be proven in court. I think ultimately it's going to be proven in court. So, I just have to say, man, you're absolutely right. It's called throwing shit against the wall to see if it sticks.
Right.
That's the technical term. That's the technical term. Throwing shit against the wall to see if it sticks. That's what it is. Okay.
Yes.
Man, what's your top story of the week, though? I know I kind of stole some of the thunder, but jump in. What's your top story for the week, man?
Well, I've got another good one. Again, this falls under my what is done in darkness.
You the man with that.
I love it. But the Pentagon is scheduled to release declassified UFO photos, videos, and reports on a new website, which is going to be the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
they wasting time on the X-Files, man.
Come on, man.
Did we see the X-Files back in the 90s on Fox?
Yes,
Sculder and Mueller.
Yeah, it's like, they were saying, a Stanford professor in the articles talks about how aliens have been on Earth for a long time. Like, is this news? Is news that it's, the government is now officially stating this. Yeah. But this has been the talk since I can remember. And I was born in 1970. So if we've been talking about it for 50 years, I'm sure it's been talked about way before this.
You talk about Roswell, the Roswell Project and all that in the desert.
40s, right.
Yeah, that stuff's been around for a long time, yeah.
It's just the fact that, you've been trying to block this information for as long as the United States government has been in place. And now we're at a point where you can't anymore. These sightings are just too frequent. Some of my friends said in East Point, they saw some UFOs the other day. So,
not in my homies. Not mine. Damn. Right. Well, I grew up there, so yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe go around Camp Creek and maybe at the corner right over by the McDonald's.
Right. Near Tri-Cities,
Yeah, okay. All right. Main over in Main Street. Yeah, over Main Street.
Exactly.
All right. So East Point. Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Like I said, man,
No, wait a minute. That was Outkast. AT Aliens.
Aliens, right? Come on, this is obvious, and they were in their College Park, East Point boys. So come on.
Yes. Oh man, that's crazy. The truth is out there.
Exactly.
Damn. Mulder and Scully are back. Hey, but I got one quick one, man, and big shout out to Shirley Jones, R&B great, Jones Girls, man.
That was a great interview.
Yeah,
too,
I love having her on, man, because she really speaks to these artists truthfully and sincerely, man. She was just saying, hey, y'all need to understand the business and you need to put in work, man. And, back in the day, I grew up, I call it, even though a lot of people refer to the 90s as the golden era, but the musical creativity, rich sound golden era for me was right after disco, that when if you grew up, the radio stations were all for black people on the AM dial.
Right.
And then the black stations started moving from AM to FM. So you had, you might have had stations, if you remember, like BLS and KISS in New York. And, V103 in Atlanta was a disco station. It became quote unquote urban, but it was black. GCI, BMX in Chicago.
Right.
You had the Beat in LA. You had KeKe, K104 in Dallas, Magic in Houston, PG. I can go on and on, man. But you fast forward. I'm hearing Shirley talk, and then a couple of days later, I get this article, this Rolling Stone article that talks about how these they have the 50 hip hop artists who are taking hip hop into the next 50 years. And I look at the list and I say, what are you, what? So, I know I'm not the target. Okay, next 50 years, hopefully I'll be here, but it's not intended for me. It's for another generation. But I'll be honest with you, Talib, and I know you still spin. I was not impressed, man. I'm not going to call any names, but when I see I hate to say it, but like Yachty, who's been around since 2017, who really, he's made some inroads, but not much impact. And then, I look at, Ice Spice is going to take us into the next 50 years. I'm like, I'm out of the demo, but I'm less than impressed, man. And I'll just give you my straight up opinion. I think, honestly, I think black music is in peril. I'm concerned, man. Creatively, I'm concerned. Nothing really catches my ear. I don't get excited about much. I'm not a prude, dog. But it seems to me that in a lot of cases, they just merge in music and porn. Now I'm not a prude. I have no issue with both of those. But sometimes it's just kind of like sometimes I don't want my peanut butter in my chocolate. Okay, I just want the chocolate. I just want the peanut butter. I don't want the music and porn thing. Sometimes I just But anyway, I'm just saying. What are your thoughts on that, man? When I saw the article, and I think without a doubt, Rolling Stone tries to be sincere in terms of how they present hip hop and black music, because culturally over the years, they really are a rock and roll magazine. True. But what are your thoughts? What do you hear when,
I was taken aback a little bit because there were only about 3 names that I really recognized.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, where are you pulling this from? In terms of, how you've compiled this list. Ice Spice might be Ice Spice and Baby Tate, but pretty much what I knew. You know what I mean? Yeah. There may have been a couple of other folks, all the names escape me at this particular moment. But look, the thing is that we've really gotten to a point where our music is disposable. Yeah. And, whether it's the mix of guns and rap or, all the gun talk, whether it's the porn talk, whether it's that's it. We are very, very lower nature in our music right now.
Lowest common denominator. Yeah.
Right. And, it's like, okay, when Luke was doing it, okay, but there was a balance. Yeah. There was a balance, and we don't really have the balance right now. I really wasn't even mad at Yachty being mentioned just because of the fact that, he has had some success, even though I didn't really like when he first came out. I think that he stepped up his skills a little bit, and he's writing for other people, and the way he writes for other people is not necessarily in his voice. So he knows the difference. You know what I mean? He knows that, what I do is what I do, but but I can still give you something in a manner that's pleasing to you. Plus I know his dad, you know what I mean? So it's like, I know where he comes from. You know what I mean? So I recognize that he is not what we see on the screen. But, again, are we going to be talking about, these people, Kenny Beats? Are we going to be talking about Kenny Beats 20 years from now? Let alone 50 years from now. You know what I mean?
10 years, 5,
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
Let me make a point, and I'll mention this to you. I think when I saw the article, I remember back in the day when hip hop first when hip hop first started, there were people in the industry who said that hip hop, a lot of those artists would not be talked about in 50 years. But look at where they are and look at what they've done. But I think the difference is even when you go to Outkast, okay, the creativity and the originality, the writing, the flexibility of a Big Boy and an Andre 3000, man, it was just nothing can match that. Yeah. And my only concern is I don't know. Just like Ice Spice, and I'm not picking on Ice Spice. I'm not picking on Yachty. I'm not. But I will say, like, Ice Spice recently won an award. And do you know it was the first award she had ever won in her life. She said she was on stage accepting the award. I think it was Ice for the most part. And she was telling the folks, that she had never won an award before in her life in any capacity in her life. And sometimes when I watch what's going on, it seems like I'm watching Showtime at the Apollo. And I'm not watching the professionals that come out to perform. I'm watching the amateur night. Yeah. It looks that way to me. Yeah. And that's why I get concerned, because nobody has any performance skills. Nobody has any presentation skills, other than, again, when they can merge porn and music. And it's just like Summer Walker and SZA doing a twerk off, when these are some talented female singers who should be giving their all in the studio. But instead, the only way they can get attention is to twerk off. That's, for those who love to watch, TNA, that's cool. But are we going to get some good music? Are we going to get some new music? Are we going to be selling records? Are we going to be doing, can we do that for 20 years? Can you do that? You know what I'm saying? Is that going to be the longevity of your career?
Right. And I think, the thing is that up until maybe the mid 2000s, early 2000s, mid 2000s, biting was still a sin in hip hop. And by biting, for those who don't necessarily know, I'll mansplain real quick. Biting is just being a copycat. Yeah. It's not being the original. If you look at cats who came out, before the early 2000s, you're talking somebody like a Ghetto Boys, UGK, Dr. Dre, the whole Dr. Dre camp, and anybody, basically in New York, it was about my voice. My voice is this way. My rhyme pattern is this. There was an originality that we don't have now. And I don't want to just put it all on Puffy, but the fact that, this whole copy culture, and recycle as opposed to recycling something, that nobody's ever heard of before. I think it's just we're at a point right now where, hip hop is eating itself.
Yeah, I agree. Good way to put it. Good way. So, but I think that's why people, and I'll end on, my part of this on this note. I think that's why people are embracing Afro beats as much as they are, because Afro beats brings a freshness to music. Lyrically, the lyrics, when you listen, there can be an Afrobeats love song. You can have, like a hardcore kind of, even though it's Afrobeats, you can talk about different things. But the vibe, if you're in a club and an Afrobeat song comes on, you really want to get up and move, and you really want to move with somebody. Right. It's a vibe. Yeah, and I think that's why more people, you see the rise of Afrobeat, and I'm not saying hip hop still makes a lot of money, because that's the first thing they throw back. Well, hip hop is number one genre, but in terms of accessible outside of the community, I think it's shrinking. I think it's compressing. It's not expanding. And that's why that's why more, you see a lot of these pop artists embracing the Afrobeats artists more so on collabs than they embrace hip hop artists. They go to the Afrobeat artists. What's his name? And I'm trying to think. It starts with a B. And
Burna Boy.
Burna Boy. They'll deal with Burna Boy first before they go to one of these hip hop artists. Go ahead, man. I'll let you. I'll give you the last word on it.
Yeah, two things I just wanted to point out real quick. I was talking to another friend of mine who is in the music heavily, music business, and he's saying that, the call has already come from the record labels that they're not really signing any hip hop anymore. It's either going to be Afro beats or it's going to be Latin. That's what they're looking for right now. So yeah, everybody's taking trying to take the hip hop out of the equation because it's not good. And then, the thing about Afro beats too, and a lot of the Latin, the reggaeton, and that kind of flavor.
Dude, can I say this? Bad Bunny is selling a whole lot of records.
Bad Bunny is he's like the number one artist in the world right now.
In the world.
And again, it's because these people are still making dance floor oriented music. Hip hop is trapped out right now, and so is R&B. So anything that's made, that's coming out now, from most of the rap community is in the same tempo of slow songs. It might be a double beat to give you that, that extra bounce, but they're all slow songs. Everything's 77 beats per minute or slower.
Oh, Lord. That, I mean,
what I mean?
Back in the day when I was DJing, I hated because, I'm sorry. I came from the parties where it's like throwing some house. Okay, let's throw in some reggae. Right. Let's throw in some hip hop. Let's throw in some it was like you got a flavor, man, but now it's just like, I just leave. Yeah. All right, last quick in a minute. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wrap it up in a minute, Talib. Wrap it up in a minute.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man, we've got to, as melanated peoples in this country and all over the world, really, we have to just take more control over the things that we say are ours, and really, that's all I really got to say about that. Because if we were in control, then we wouldn't be seeing half of the stuff that we're seeing right now.
I hear you. Love your thoughts, y'all. Go to castropolis.net, choose the people poll. Love your feedback on all this we've said today. And we've said a whole lot. I know a whole lot of people want to, they want to rebuke, or whatever.
Fine. That's fine.
Go to castropolis.net. Shoot your shot. Because, the Trumpers, man, the MAGAs come after me. They love me. But leave a voice message and I'll play back the best, even if it is a MAGA. But thanks to the Newsmaker crew. Talib, thank you so much for making it. Shout out to Vi, who's driving around 75 north somewhere. I don't know. I don't know where Vi is. But let's take a break, y'all, and we'll come back with Tonya B and the T. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
More. This is the G Podcast after the break.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's Tommy B from This Is the G Podcast. We are now halfway through 2023. And if you've been thinking about starting your own podcast in 2024, I'd love to have a chat with you. The Castropolis Podcast Network is currently accepting new shows. And if you have a clear vision and a unique voice, let's get in touch. Reach out to me at info@castropolis.net or visit the website castropolis.net. Simply click on the Contact Us button. So go to castropolis.net, click on Contact Us, and just leave me a message. I'm Tommy B from This Is the G Podcast, and I can't wait to help you start your very own podcast journey today.
Now then, children, it's time for tea.
It's tea time, y'all. Sippin' the tea with Tonya B.
Yes, my people. It's time to sip some tea. It is your girl, Tonya B. We're about to sip some GT right here on This Is the G Podcast. It's Labor Day weekend. I hope everyone's having fun, eating great food, and being safe. And Tommy B, you already know I am cooking. What it is remains to be seen. The menu's a mystery, but let me get to this week's entertainment news headlines. Let's talk about Usher's fiance, aka most current baby mama. She wants to get married. Usher doesn't do too well with being married. He's been divorced twice, but this woman has 2 babies, ages 1 and 2. She stopped working when she got with Usher, so what's she gonna do for money? Sue Usher for support and benefits? Girl, you better sell that ring. But Usher's been very flirty, as he always is at his Las Vegas shows. Well, that might be part of, just being an entertainer and getting people to pay all that money to come and see him in Las Vegas. But you very rarely see pictures of this woman, nor do you hardly ever see pictures of her with Usher. Usher marriage don't work for you. Let's talk about KeKe Palmer. Now, she young, but she still got a little dirt in the corners of her house. Now, she publicly broke up with the baby daddy. And we're wondering, was it all a stunt? Now, both she and Usher got mad publicity for this. KeKe Palmer even got a magazine cover, baby. But she posted spending her baby daddy's birthday with him. Was it for a fee? Are y'all even thinking about this baby? It's not about you, KeKe. It surely ain't about Usher, and it's not about you, Darius. You need to go somewhere and get a job. Well, singer Ricky Martin is finally divorced, and Khalees and actor Bill Murray have called it quits. I guess her milkshake didn't bring Bill Murray to the yard. And Ike Turner Jr. is finally out of jail. He'd been in there almost 3 months. And remember, he tried to eat the crack and the meth when the cops pulled him over. It's a shame. I hope he gets some help. Let's talk about old nasty Neo. Okay, now what I'm about to say is purely my opinion. It is not the opinion of the podcast or the Castropolis Podcast Network. But Neo, go over there after you get done folding the laundry and clean up your house and stop talking about other folks' kids. Now, his former fiance and baby mama, Moneta Shaw Carter, she's got 2 kids by him. They're now ages 11 and 12. And she claimed that he forced her to get her tubes tied. No. Anyway, she must have some project she's about to come and promote, because now she's going public with claims that the reason why she and Neo broke up was because his addiction to having threesomes every day. She said, he made me feel like I wasn't enough. And then she said, no thanks, Neo. She's moved on. She's remarried to a man who does not do threesomes. But Miss Shaw, I have to remind you, please consider how this information could affect your children, okay? Well, rapper, producer Swiss Beats is getting a TV show. It's called Driving with Swiss Beats. I guess like Jerry Seinfeld used to drive in cars with comics, and maybe how James Corden did, the carpool karaoke. You'll have to tell me if it's going to be interesting, because right now, I am not interested. I'm just saying. 50 cent, 50 cent, 50 cent. You better get your checkbook out. Have you seen the video? He was performing in L.A. Allegedly, there was a problem with the sound, whatever the case may be. Baby, 50 Cent threw that mic like he was on a Major League Baseball team, hit a local female DJ in the head. She was hosting the show. There are photos online of her in the hospital. There are photos of the video of what happened, a video of the incident. Honey, she jacked up, and he better get ready to write a big check for losing his temper. He has been formally named as a suspect. You think so? Like I said, this is a hot mess. The video, I think, works towards the advantage of the DJ, and we hope she gets better and doesn't have any further brain injury. We don't talk about Kanye, but from what I hear, you can smell him all the way from Italy. He joins the Make My Funk, the P-Funk, as in personal funk club. He and his new wife need to stop with those stunts. Nobody cares. You know I don't care. Keep all your junk in your own trunk. We don't want to see your public displays of ashy nudity, sex, and other foolishness, you thirst traps. Well, Lauryn Hill said she's moving full steam ahead with this Fugees reunion tour, and it will probably help the cash-strapped Pras Michel, his family. But before he heads to the big house, I can barely get it out. It's a shame. He going to jail. I'm sure he's got huge legal bills. And Wyclef Jean, I don't know what you doing after he took them people's money over there in Haiti. But anyway, all right, 5 on it. Well, the ultimate Tyler Perry documentary is coming to Prime Video on November 17th, named after his mother. The documentary is called Maxine's Baby. He was homeless, abused, and look at him now. One of the richest men of color there is, at least in this time. Well, the documentary, here's a gag. It's being produced and, directed by his baby mama, who we see about as much as we see Jamie Foxx's baby mamas. Anyway, now with these streaming services, not being able to put any new content up, Hulu is canceling everything. They canceled Tommy B, Kerry Washington, Little Fires Everywhere. They canceled High Fidelity with Zoe Kravitz, but nobody really watched. But then they canceled Wu-Tang, The American Saga, and that was doing pretty well. So I don't know if I like that too tough. Anyway, don't believe what you hear. Every time Beyonce goes on tour, somebody says, Beyonce's pregnant. Leave her alone. But as the 25th anniversary of Destiny's Child does approach, there are talks of a limited reunion tour. So you know what? Start saving your money. Lastly, this is a sad story. The war of the Isleys continues. It's not over yet. Rudolph Isley, who left music many years ago to be a minister, is suing his so-called younger brother Ron for use of the family name. He said, brother, where's my check? We had an agreement. You owe me for the last 30 years. This mess is headed to trial this fall. They told the judge, who begged them to go to mediation and work it out. They said, we can't. Somebody's being greedy. Ron Isley? I guess in the words of Rodney King, they all cannot just get along. But inquiring minds want to know, Tommy B, will this be a blemish on the legendary name? Both of these brothers are into their 80s, and I mean well into their 80s, because Ron Isley's been 82 years old for about 4 or 5 years, and it's just sad. That's all I got. Ain't got no more, y'all. Have a great and safe Labor Day weekend. If you miss anything, don't forget to go to This Is the G Podcast YouTube channel and check us out. All right, Tommy B, I'm going back to the grill. Bye-bye.
What you watching this week, Tommy B?
Thank you so much, Tonya B, for that hot, steamy, smoky, fiery tea. Yeah, thank you, girl. Prom night has never been more intense than episode 5, season 6 of The Chi, titled One of Them Nights. Kevin prepares for his prom date with Maisha, but Kevin's also preparing for a move from Chicago to LA at the request of a gaming sponsor. Will he leave The Chi? Are the boys breaking up? Is the band breaking up, y'all? What's up? Papa asks his cougar Kenya to the prom, the Anita Baker way, of course. Pastor Stanley gives him some fatherly advice. It ultimately leads to a major post-prom revelation about Kenya that Papa may have to strongly consider. I won't spoil this big surprise for y'all. Just watch the show. Bakari falls deeper into Duda's web. Duda gives him a hot, and I do mean hot, ride for stashing illegal firearms. And if that's not enough, he's meeting his girl Lene's older streetwise brother Jamal, who's already skeptical about his street life. And as expected, Bakari's dream night fails in the harshest of ways. And as Luther sang it, it's over now. It's over, dude. Tiff and Ron's pursuit of a magical weed business hits a speed bump as their car gets stolen, the window gets smashed, all because of Duda's crew. And Duda sends a mysterious warning. You know Duda knows everything. You know he's on to Tiff and Ron doing this magical weed business. He knows what's up. Keisha falls victim to budget cuts at her new teaching gig. Her relationship with Emmett is under some major stress as she feels she's losing her purpose. And Victor struggles with life as a politician under media scrutiny, and who knew? Duda's realtor is gay, and he's also Victor's campaign manager's fiance. Victor confesses a big secret to the campaign manager, and suddenly the feds show up at his door. Is that a coincidence? Shad's money struggles make him rethink the straight and narrow. A clash with Bakari brings about a really poor choice. Come on, Shad. Come on, bro. Okay. Gemma and Tiara bond, which is a good thing, but it's over this hideous prom dress that Gemma's wearing. Unfortunately, Gemma's father disapproves of Tiara's recommended look. Says she looked like a hoe? Really? Dre and Nina clash over an ex in front of Keisha. And why is Dre hanging out with her ex? Dre recommends a much-needed therapist for Keisha, which is good. Emmett confronts Duda and is roundly dismissed in front of Duda's henchmen and everything in the chop shop. Emmett, bro, you got to make some smarter choices, or you got to come packing when you get in front of Duda. That's all I got to say. Lynn Whitfield, who plays Ron's mom, Alicia, and Jill Maureen Jones, who plays Bianca, they connect. Could Bianca be Duda's downfall? That's the question. And you know, part of this show is about watching these kids grow up. And I'm telling you, the kids' evolution really comes front and center. And it's really magical in this episode. And seeing Maisha and Jake, king and queen of the prom, is really cool. Check it out. Though this season has been a bit of a slow burn, it's a much needed slow burn to pull us into each character. And I think, though, when it all goes down, it's going to explode and there's going to be some sadness. Hate to say that. By the way, the use of Nardo Wick's Who Wants Smoke was perfect for this episode because the smoke is coming. That's Shy Talk episode 5, season 6. Welcome your thoughts. Go to Castropolis.net. And I want to say thank you for putting up with me, y'all, butchering these characters' names like Rosalind and Joycelyn. I just get them mixed up sometimes, so forgive me. A brother gets mixed up. Also, previous Shy Talk blogs are now at Castropolis.net. If you go to Shy Talk at Castropolis.net, all the blogs are there. Appreciate y'all. Man, as always, a big thanks to Syracuse Mike, Tonya B, Vi, Talib, author and political analyst Harold Michael Harvey. Thanks to the crew, Millennial Nick, Lady J, Regia, music by K-Dub, all those who help us make it happen every week. We appreciate you. And remember, every Sunday, 6 p.m., you can stream us first. The links are in social media, or you can just go to castropolis.net. Share us with friends, y'all. You know, Ashford and Simpson said it. Don't cost you nothing at all. And my PSA for the week for this episode, one of my PSAs is with Governor Kemp refusing to intervene, which is a good thing. You know, we're moving closer to the reality that this Trump trial is really going to happen, and it's going to be televised and live streamed. The trial of Donald J. Trump. Yes, the trial of Donald J. Trump. Say that 20 times. In Fulton County, it's coming, y'all, in 2024. It will be a spectacle like no other. I'm telling you. And, you know, because 2024 is going to be so unpredictable, y'all really get it in and enjoy your holidays, because it is not going to be a very peaceful 2024. So just be prepared. Be prepared. Also, PSA number 2, just a big thanks to the cities and the countries who support us. First of all, the countries, got to say, of course, to the US of A. Thank you. South Africa, Ghana, Africa, the UK, Ireland, and Germany. Wow. Thank you so much. And a few of our top cities, Atlanta, McDonough, Columbus, Macon, Decatur, Georgia, Los Angeles, Lithonia, Georgia, Johannesburg, El Dorado Hills, Cali, Accra, Ghana, New York, Seattle, Boston, Birmingham, Carlton, South Africa, Carltonville, South Africa, Dayton, Ohio, let's see, Boone, North Carolina, Canton, Michigan, let me get that right, Chicago, Mableton, Georgia, Duluth, Pretoria, South Africa, and Philly. That's just a few, y'all. Really say thank you so much. And, you know, for the sake of time, I have to cut it off there. But you know who you are. And we appreciate you for supporting the show each week. We appreciate it. And with that, episode 191 is in the can. Have a great week, y'all. Peace and power to the people.
You've been listening to the G Podcast with your host, Tommy B. The G Podcast is a production of the Castropolis Podcast Network. Thanks for listening.